Hey guys, Jay Hoyt here. Before this video gets started, I just want to say thank you guys for all the support on my channel, helping me reach my goal of 200 subscribers. But of course, with goals, you gotta set them once again. You gotta keep those goals rolling. This time, let's get it. 300 subscribers. Help me hit that goal if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. But we got our 4th episode of our franchise mode with the Detroit Red Wings, trying to bring them back to the Stanley Cup. What's on, guys? Jay Hoyt back with you today. Welcome back to episode number 4 of our franchise mode with the Detroit Red Wings. So the first couple of videos, really not much happened, right? We did a complete clean out of the organization. You know, got rid of most of our AHL players, those old players that were on bad contracts. And, we tried to do as much as we could with what we had. So now's the time. We're in year 2 that we can actually start to make our team better and to try to make our team, push for the playoffs. And although currently we are not sitting in a playoff position, we're still sitting in a spot where we could make a run, but we also could, tank and just get a better draft pick. But I think if we want to upgrade our team now, even though if our team doesn't perform this year, next year will be even better. So once we kind of build up this team to where we want to be, our young players should be good enough to where they might have an impact in the NHL. But for now, I think a couple of big trades might help out our organization. So if you look at our team, how we're doing right now, we currently sit 17, 22, and 3. After a huge month, brought us back in the win column. We've actually been on a pretty good track, at least in the month of what would have been December, into early January here. And we've been going in the right direction. But now's the time to try to help our team help themselves. And I want to upgrade the team. So after looking at possible trades and looking at holes in the lineup, I figured of 2 trades that would definitely help us out. The 2 biggest things were our penalty kill and scoring goals. And our overall defense has improved a little bit, so we're going to help that out as well, hopefully help with the penalty kill in that process. Like I said, we have 2 trades on the horizon here. Our first one I want to get set up for you, and I want to explain why. So our first trade is all set up here, and actually we added on to what the initial trade was gonna be since the other trade we were gonna do fell through. So this is gonna be our first trade. I guess it might be is this our first trade? I don't really know, but it's definitely gonna be our biggest trade so far in this series. So let's break down what's exactly in this trade. So I don't know what this guy's first name is, but Gruey, we'll go with that. Albin Gruey, 3rd round draft pick, a few years back. And he's currently like an 80-something overall, top line prospect, in the AHL. And, he doesn't really have, the greatest outlook. Like, I've never really seen him get good in this game. So that's kind of a little meta, but like, you know what? We'll take the risk here. Then also we're going to have Vladimir Nemestikov, who currently has a ton of trade value on his side. I'm not sure why, but he has a ton of trade value on him. And then our 3rd line right defenseman, Troy Stecher, who I think is currently out of the lineup due to some roster changes. So we'll get to that in a minute. But coming back to our side will be from the Montreal Canadiens, will be right wing Tyler Toffoli, 3rd line right defenseman Madison Bowie, and a 2nd round draft pick this year. So overall, we'd get a top 6 forward, a 3rd line right defenseman, in exchange for basically 2 AHL players and our 3rd line, struggling right defenseman. So let's see if this one will go through. It's pretty much balanced, but they don't think that is. So we'll have to try to change up this pick and see what happens from there. How about if we go for 2/3? Does that work? That works for Montreal. So I probably should have gone for a second for next year, but you know what? It all works out in the end. So let's go fix the rosters, and then let's look on for our second trade. So in effort of trying to clean up our team just a little bit, unfortunately, Ilya Kovalchuk has found himself like on the trade block. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to keep on to him, especially putting Toffoli into the lineup and trying to keep some younger players such as Josh Ho-Sang and a couple other guys. So unfortunately, we're going to have to get rid of him, although he is doing decently. After this year, we'll probably never have to release him anyway. So might as well get something for him while we're still in the process of cleaning up our roster and getting younger and better every day. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get another player for him or include him in a bigger trade, but we end up getting a third and a fourth from the Tampa Bay Lightning, in which we are going to accept this, but we still are looking for one more trade here, try to help out our team. So our second trade is a minor one, as we're going to be trying to get rid of Dan DeKeyser, and we'll have to sign some free agents just to fill out the AHL team. But DeKeyser, big contract, not playing well to begin with, got pushed out of the lineup, so not going to be able to keep on to him, plus that big contract is kind of useless anyway. So the plan is to trade him to Pittsburgh in exchange for a third-round pick and this one prospect who's actually doing pretty decent this year in the AHL. 75 overall, I think 23 years old. And then we're going to add in a fifth-round pick just to kind of even out the value. So hopefully this will go through. There it is. So let's go assign him to the AHL, sort out our roster, and then we'll have to sign some free agents. So we end up signing a couple guys. I think it was ended up being like 5 guys in total. We got some center help. We got some old guys that are just going to fill out some player spots in the AHL, and we signed former Detroit Red Wing Jimmy Howard to try to fill up some of that salary cap. So you guys will see him show up here shortly. So Tampa Bay is placing Mitchell Stevens. Is he worth getting? Definitely looks like it. Let's go see here. Stats. What are you doing? 51 points in the AHL. I say so. Let's welcome him to our team here, and once the rest of the guys sign, we'll best lines down there. David Backes being one of them. Jimmy Howard's one we signed to like $9 million to kind of make up some of that salary cap. Michael Granlund, and I think that was it. So we'll simulate a couple more days here just to be sure of that. And I think that's it. So let me go put those guys in the lineup, and then we'll continue on with the rest of our season. So after all of the trades, signings, roster moves, the whole shebang, it's time to get into our season here. So we'll go a couple more months up to the trade deadline, maybe up to the end of the year. We'll see how we're feeling for today's episode. So like I said, episode number 4, we actually get to do something now. We made some trades, made some moves. We somehow lose 10-2 against the New York Islanders when they're significantly worse than us. So let's go see, where are we in the standings? So we currently sit 43 games played, 37 points. So not the greatest. So let's simulate a month here, go up to the start of February. There's not really a ton of games this month. In January, obviously with the fake All-Star break that isn't really there, and some time off. So 2 fours in Grigorenko for 2/3. I might just take them up on that. So let's keep it going. Although it does get rid of a player for just draft picks, I mean that's kind of hard not to do, especially getting 2/3 for 2 fours and a random player that's not really doing too much for you to begin with. Definitely a trade that I was more than willing to make. So unfortunately, we're still rocking out on the loser's side of most of these games. And although some of them are not necessarily blowouts, we're still obviously not in the win column. So we'll keep it going here. Start of February, we'll get up to the trade deadline, see if there's any last minute trades we need to make, but probably not. And then we'll get into the rest of the year. Although we are getting some points in these games as well. 5-1 versus Florida, a shootout loss versus Chicago. A rematch versus the Islanders, 6-1 in favor of us. Somehow that is a thing. Win versus Montreal, win versus Carolina. So although we're, again, doing decent and kind of average, we're still not where we want to be. So let me go check, see if we need to make any other trades, and then we'll get right on with the rest of the season. So there's no more trades that I really want to make, but we're going to focus on re-signing some of our players that are, going to be, not having a contract next year, starting with one of our best young players, Filip Zadina. So he's going to be getting, I think it's like $5 million at like 6 years. A couple of AHL guys are getting new contracts just a year or two, on their deals. So they'll be with us. All young players that, could help us in the future, but not really the biggest focus right now because obviously we want our draft picks to get in there and make an impact. So we'll fast forward past the trade deadline, and there might be like one or two more that haven't signed yet, but we definitely wanted to re-sign those guys now. That way before we get into the offseason, if they want a crazy amount of money. I want to do it early in the season, but you know what? I feel like now is the right time, right before the trade deadline, before we get into the rest of the year. So we'll decline that guy. I know we already did with Stevens, but we already got enough guys. Plus, we are not playing with injuries, so no guys are really going to be out of the lineup anytime soon. So we basically have no chance of the playoffs. We're at 57 points, I think. Something like that. So we have to be up to 70, 72? I think last time I saw. So we'd have to go on an absolute tear if we even wanted to try for the playoffs, but that's not the goal. Obviously we didn't stack up on players or try to make any big changes, for the playoff push. So definitely not going to be this year, but with these upgrades on our squad, hopefully next year is going to be the goal that we can at least be in contention for the playoffs. That's our kind of year 3 goal. Just be in contention, on the bubble maybe, but we want to start looking towards the playoffs and getting our team back in the right track. But definitely not going to be this year as we wrap up the last 2 games here. Tampa Bay over in Florida. We beat Florida earlier in the year pretty handily, but looks like that's not going to be in the cards on this one. But of course, as we always do, let's take a look at what the team did this year with player stats and team stats. So let's start with our player stats. Dylan Larkin once again leading the way in points. 102. That's absolutely incredible. But we have Mantha was 70, Bertuzzi was 62, Zadina was 62. Toffoli, after he came over, he put up 30 points in 40 games, so basically the same thing he did with Montreal. Faber with 50-something points. Duclair with something. I know you can't see some of this, but Duclair, Hosang with 50 points. Rasmussen with 40. Niesbaum with 23 in our fourth line. Just kind of those mid-teens numbers, so nothing really crazy down there. But let's go take a look at our defense. So we end up calling up Morris Seider. I think that's his name, right? Morris, was that right? Moritz, I don't really know. But Seider came up, played some games for us about halfway through the year, and we gave him a shot up here. He produced okay. Obviously, I'd like to see a little bit more points play on that second line, but you know what? That's fine for now. Bowie with 40 games played as well, 7 points. Not too crazy. Obviously, we're not really looking for him or looking to him for lots of points. So, but the rest of the guys, rest of the squad, performing okay. Not the greatest, but the fact that Hjalmarsson's kind of leading our team or leading our defense in points is kind of weird. Because especially with him being more of a defensive defenseman, we'll have to take a look next year, maybe put him in a different role, try some different strategies. We'll have to see. But Binnington recovered a little bit from his struggles early on. Grice, I mean, what can you really say about that? The whole team struggled, so not going to put too much blame on him, but we'll run quickly through the AHL team. Jimmy Howard, 19-3 with a 1.1 goals against. Oh, boy. So our goalies did pretty well down in the AHL. That guy we traded for, De Kaiser, did really well. Some of the guys we threw in the lineup at some point, everyone did pretty well there. Also, prospect on the horizon, Ted Mann, our draft pick, 34 points, 13 goals, did really well. 5 power play goals. We made sure he was on the number 1 power play. Forwards, High Rose is still up there. Raymond definitely will get a good look next year to see if we're going to pull him up to the NHL fully. Looking down the line, everyone just kind of did what they should have. Granlund came in 39 points. more than a point per game, but obviously 83 overall. If he doesn't do something like that, then that's kind of questionable. But let's go take a look at the team stats and see if there's an area we really struggle in. So with a final record of 32, 43, and 7 with a total points total of 71, we end our year off. So we're number 27 overall. So goals for, we have 260. That's what, 70 or 80 less than the top. So that's definitely a big concern. Goals against, I didn't actually see what our number was. Are we there? No, 27? Not there. So we must be in the middle of the pack, I'm guessing. But, obviously towards the end of the year, or mid to end of the year, we improved a ton. So there we are, 289. So looks to be about middle of the way there. We had 64 power play goals, which looks to be about top 10, top 15-ish. Not really going to go, crazy and look into those numbers. Power play percentage, probably one of the worst. How did Tampa had one of the worst power plays, and yet they were still up there? Kind of surprising, if you ask me. But what was our number here? I mean, we didn't do necessarily great, but 18.8%. So definitely not good. What do we got for penalty kill percentage? 76. That's almost guaranteed. Yeah, we're way down there towards that one. And then, of course, our final records here is 17, 23, and 1 at home, and 15, 20, and 6 away, with the last 10 of 3, 5, and 2. So definitely not what we wanted for this year. But again, whole team struggling. Lots of areas we can improve on. We need more goals, better defense, better power play, better penalty kill. Everything across the board, we need to be better. So hopefully, we can fill those gaps in the off season. And then that next video, episode 5, I think it is, we'll bring some big changes. I guess we'll watch out the AHL team, see what they do in the postseason, see if they can win anything for us. And if they don't, we'll still move on to the off season nonetheless. Big changes coming, of course. But as always, guys, if you did enjoy, hit that like button down below. Let me know all your thoughts and comments down there in that comment section. And if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Help me on my road to 300 subscribers. Well, with all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one. In the